Sorry, you got fresh out of shower hair. It's probably gonna look angelic by the time I'm done here. Client needed wanted a sub $1,000 build. So we are doing a very basic, as basic as I go, which is not entirely basic. Going with a really, really simple B760M system. This is a mid-range board. The Intel boards DDR4 is the previous generation of memory. DDR5 is just starting to make its way into mainstream. I did this because DDR4 memory is now dirt cheap, and it is still perfectly fine for gaming, most workstation functions, and in fact, it's a little more stable because a lot of the manufacturers are having issues with the stability on DDR5 memory. Background where it should be. Hey, there we go. Alright, generally, I like to work from low to high when doing the build like this. So it's generally going to be CPU, memory, NVMe drive. Actually, those can kind of be like flipped around, but I'll probably do this first because of camera concerns. So, first thing we're going to do is pull out the CPU. And we have an Intel 12400F. Now that F on the end means that it does not have built-in graphics on here. So these will not be functional because these rely on the CPU to have a graphics processor on the chip, which it does not. You have to have an add-on card, and we do have a very nice add-on card for this one. We are going to pop this open. Do a very quick inspection, make sure there are no bent or broken pins. All the pins are actually inside the socket these days. And everything looks good, so we're going to go ahead and pull this out. Now you will notice there is, and this will not autofocus, so I'm sorry. I'm going to do it up here. There is a triangle. Oops, shit. A triangle on the corner right down here. That needs to match up with triangle on this lid right here, which is right there. Sometimes they print it on the motherboard. Sometimes they put it. Is my head blocking? Okay, no, it's on. Sometimes they print it on the motherboard. Sometimes they put it on this thing, which I don't like, but I don't know what you're gonna do. But it is right there. Also, there are notches right there and at the bottom, so it is very hard to put this in the wrong way, but it's very easy to drop it and break things. So it's in there good. I'm going to go ahead and press this down, and that will pop this off. This is the bog standard memory out there right now. It has been for quite some time. Corsair is a very trusted brand, and I've never had a problem with these at all. And right now, because DDR4 is a last gen spec, these are dirt cheap. I got 16 gigs for I think $38, I think, on Amazon. I probably should put links on all this stuff. Not that it would matter because prices change so fast. Now, when you're installing memory, you want to have both memory channels populated. A good rule of thumb is to just go start on the outside and then alternate. Just skip one. You'll make sure that notch lines up with the peg in the board. And you want to press down. You want to hear a good solid click on both sides. There we go. Box kind of muffled that one. I'll vacuum later. Get in there. There we go. And click, click. And we good. Okay. Memory's installed. All right. Going to... I'm just checking the chat here. Oh, and for the screws, I have a little magnetic tray, which are very, Very. Oh! Oh my! This is one of the newer style ones that actually has a... this is not in focus, is it? Let's go ahead and grab our system drive, which is a 1 terabyte PNY NVMe. This sucker is pretty damn fast. And this is 1 terabyte, which should be plenty for the client for now. And if they need more later, they always have the option for another NVMe drive to be installed there. Or there are 1, 2, 3, 4, only 4? Wow, on B series? Usually there's like 6 or 8. There are 4 SATA ports for classic hard drives, or better yet, 2.5-inch SSDs. Normally there is a screw here that is insanely difficult to deal with. This has circumvented that, thankfully. There's still a clip, which I really, really like. Just in case they need to upgrade their storage in the future, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pre-install one of these headers for them. Put that there so they don't have to go looking for one. And don't ever forget, on the bottom there, there's going to be... This is actually functional. This is a heatsink. NVMe drives can run pretty hot. They're not terribly thermally sensitive, but if they do hit around 90°C, they will slow down significantly. Heat also does lessen the lifespan of your components, so whenever there is a heatsink option, take it. And am I missing a screw? Huh, I think I did. Oh no. One of those not good things. I believe I misplaced the screw that went right here. Well, shoot. I did. Well, this is highly embarrassing. Let's see if this came with any extra M2s. I can't believe I did that. Ah! Found it! When in doubt, shake it out. Okay, so we've now installed the CPU, the memory. I just put a big old fingerprint on that. The CPU, the memory, and the SSD. Next, we want to do the cooler for the CPU. And then we can test this board. Okay, and we are going to need ones that are marked 1700. If there's not one marked 1700, usually that means that there's an LGA 1200 1700 combo, and there is. You can kind of see that there are a pair of holes there. It's not one long hole. It is a pair of holes. Pop this through here. Those should line up automatically. And they did. And then we're going to put the spacers on here. And this is kind of important because the LGA 1200s, they sat at a different height, a little bit lower, I believe. And if you put the LGA 1200s on spacers on 1700 like this, it's going to cause problems insofar that you might bend the supports a little bit and put a little too much pressure on the chip, which there are worse things. But if you accidentally put these 1700 spacers on an LGA 1200 board, then your heatsink is not going to make contact at all with your CPU because it's going to be too high. And that is one of those not good things. Tighten these down until we get purchase. There we go. The chip we're using, the Intel 12400, is the lowest grade i5 chip. It is 6 cores, 12 threads. So basically, you have 6 physical cores inside this die. Each of those can split themselves into 2 logical processors. I almost went 13400, but This chip is down to about 160. The other chips are still over the $215, $220 mark, and just the difference in performance for gaming is just not worth it. Not right now, at least. It is very easy to overbuild. Granted, you are kind of... The term is future-proofing, although I hate that term. It's so not accurate. I can go this route, which puts it really close to the graphics card and over the SSD, the system drive. That will, however, put it right over the memory and quite close to the front. Now there are advantages to that as well. That will get blowdown. The memory will get blowdown from the fan, which will help on cooling. But if we're being perfectly honest here, it's not really a problem. RAM, even overclock RAM, which all RAM is overclocked nowadays. Don't get confused about that. It's basically like designed at the factory to be overclocked at certain levels. It does not run hot at all. And it's got heat spreaders on, even if it did. I think I'm going to go this way, and I will tell you why. Even though that is closer to the graphics card, that's going to give easier access to the memory, so the client can upgrade that if they want to. Much easier. It gives us better accessibility to these power ports and the fan ports that we're going to need later. Although the fan port I'm going to plug in anyway. And this is going to give the SSD the advantage of blowdown, direct blowdown from this fan. Now SSDs do run hot, and when you're installing a large game, like one of the big 180 gigabyte game, they're going to run hot. So I'm going to go ahead and install this thing that way. I am gonna put way too much thermal paste. Okay, basically the thermal paste basically acts as a... No, that's not that bad. That looks like a lot more on camera than it is. A lot more. That's probably about a pea-sized bit, just kind of lengthened out. The reflection makes that look a lot more than it is. Okay, gonna line those up. Looks good. We need contact, but not tighten it down. Normally, you're gonna have 4 points of articulation on these. 4 points of attachment, I should say. And you would basically go in a circle to make sure that the contact is even on everything. But when you have 2 points, that's less possible. Okay. And we don't want to, we don't want to over tighten those because that will warp the frame of the fan, and then you'll get clatter. But we're good. Before we put this into a case, I prefer generally to test it, and I think I'm going to. I picked up an RX 6600 XT, which is a good mid-range card, a very good mid-range card, for around $250. And this is a big boy. This is a beefy boy. There is no reason for a 600 class GPU to have this kind of a cooling solution on it. I am quite certain all they did was take a cooler off of like a 6700 XT, maybe a 6800 XT, and slap it on this thing and call it a day. This is, again, why I build on the boxes. Because you have a nice, convenient little slot. Good God, that's a big board. That's a big card. Woo! You know, I'm hoping, because this is a split... I'm hoping that fits in this case. like depth-wise. And in order to crank this up, I'm going to turn the power on over here. I'm going to short the power connector right over panel here. Hey, all right, spun up. And let's see if we get a display. It is going to memory train. So if it doesn't respond for a bit, that's completely expected. This is completely okay. It needs to train memory. Okay, it's going into that mode, and we are on CPU. We have booted. Why do we have no picture? We have no picture. It knows that it's booted.
2 hours later.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so this is just a case of the HDMI ports are not initializing, or the HDMI port singular is not initializing without an operating system and driver.
Good guess, but actually no.
Well, let's go ahead and do this. So, let's make sure everything is recognizing here. We've got CPU running at 2.5 gigahertz. That's fine. Core temperature is 39. That sounds very high for a 12400, but I assure you, it is just extremely frickin' hot in this room right now. I would say ambient is right at 31 at the motherboard temperature. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. We will run some stress tests to make sure. So let's take a look at memory. Yeah. 2133 is the base clock for that. We are seeing both sticks just fine, and it is reading it as 3200. So we're going to go ahead and load the XMP profile. XMP stands for Extreme Memory Profile, which is weird. We're going to go ahead and activate that. And that should bump the clocks on both these sticks from RAM up to 3200 megahertz. That's really all we're going to do right now. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And reboot. What is this here? And we again have no image.
One eternity later.
There we go, okay. Did it read the profile? Yes, it read the profile, okay. So we've got 16 gigabytes of DDR3200, which is fine for this. And let's go ahead and shut her down. It's a very nice case. I like this case a lot. It's growing on me. It is something of a knockoff. It was quite cheap for what it is. I think total price was $64 plus tax and shipping. So, very nice for a budget case. The only thing it does not have that I would have liked doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. There is no Type-C port up here, but it's okay because there's no Type-C header on this motherboard, although I do have a card that could have added that. Oh! Ouch. Okay, yeah. This build is going to be delayed. Not here on stream, but in terms of delivery to the client. These were advertised as addressable RGB fans. First off, they are... Oh, wait. Okay, wait. They are. I'm going to go overhead with this. They are overhead, or I'm sorry, they are RGB fans. We've got the connector here, so that's okay. But this is unforgivable. They are Molex powered. Hmm. Hmm. That is a problem. For those of you who don't know, that means that these fans are going to run at a constant speed, at 12 volts, full power, when they are on. When the PC is on. There's no ramping it up. Now, okay. This is a 400 class CPU, which is the coolest you're going to get for a 6-core 12-thread. Which means this is just for ventilation, nothing else. The CPU fan is rampable. The GPU is a flippin' 3-fan cooler for a 600 class card, which is the lowest of the mid-range cards. As long as they, you know what, even then, as long as they are not too loud, I think this is going to be okay. As long as they're not too loud when it's running. I do not like it, but it is not a deal breaker at all. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. No. Oh no. How are these? I'm only seeing. I've got one ARGB header. Or I'm sorry. One ARGB cable going. Where's that going? Where is that going? Let's go ahead and get this front panel off too. So I've got RGB going where? Where's that cable going? This is the RGB. This is the church. This is the steeple. Going into this fan. The rest of them are just Molex. Oh. Oh. Okay. Aha. That is clever. That is very clever. Okay, here's what they're doing. One fan has... I'll take the front panel off too. I'm not going to. One fan has an ARGB header. Follow me here. This ARGB header carries normally three connections. 3. I'm from Germany. You've got plus 5 volt. You've got data and you've got ground. Now, in theory, you only need 2 if you have a common ground coming out of it. Which Molex happens to have 2 grounds, which are common, contrary to popular belief. You can ground 12 volt to the ground next to the 5 volt and 5 volt to the ground next to 12 volt. It's all ground potential. It doesn't matter. They're common. Here's what's going on. And there are 3 pins in this Okay, that is very clever. Here's what's happening. You've got the 5 volt coming in, you've got the data coming in, you've got the ground coming in from the motherboard connector, going into the fan. This fan commons the ground for that into the Molex along with the data on what looks like the ground. I'd have to trace this back. So I've got 4 coming into these. That is really clever. It carries the 5 volt, and I would guess the data on the 5 volt ground, and then just uses the common ground. You know what? I was mad. I'm not even mad anymore. I'm not mad in the slightest. This is clever as shit. That is actually so... That is so fucking cool. And now that means I couldn't, even if I wanted to, use that adapter. Because it does have full connections to all 4 rails. And that would break this. No, it wouldn't, because that's why that's the 5 volt. That missing pin right there, I don't know if you can see it. There's one missing pin. That is the 5 volt ground that they're using for data. It's missing off this connector. It's using just the common ground. Yeah, I'm impressed. There's still no RGB controller for it. All right, I grabbed a controller. Oh, sorry. I grabbed a controller and a splitter. It's a 1 to... shoot. It's a 1 to 4 splitter. I don't have any 1 to 2s. That's fine. The client will simply have more options for RGB. Okay, remember that panel we took out earlier? Well, now we're going to put it back in. Or we're going to put it on. One thing you always want to do is make sure... How can I just shadow? There's going to be a shadow on that no matter what I do. Dang it. Hey, okay. Is make sure you count your standoffs and make sure they match up. Also, I'm going to get rid of this because reasons. The graphics card, and this motherboard does not have Wi-Fi built in, and I do not recommend gaming over Wi-Fi ever, just for all the reasons. But this client is going to have the option for Wi-Fi. I do want to get rid of these little metal burrs. Okay. How mounts a motherboard? Take 3. This build's actually been fraught with issues. Oh, I never opened this up, did I? Let's open this up. There's an extra little opening slit down here that doesn't go quite to the top. That's curious. I've never seen that before. I wonder what, I'm sure it's like a pass-through for something. I've just never seen it before. I wonder what would use this. Alright, there we go. I'm a little worried. One reason I wanted to go to the RX 6600 was, other than price, to keep it inside this line right here, so that he would have the entirety of this area to put a figure. But I'm afraid that it's going to be quite hampered. I do have a support bracket that would work. Oh God, my blinks are not synced up between the 2 cameras. I do have a support bracket. A pretty sexy one too. It's really cute. It's all RGB, and we've got plenty of expansion on the RGB. I do have a support bracket, and they could just display everything right here, because that pass-through is just not needed. This card is not going to get that hot at all, ever. It's a flippin' 6600 XT. with a 6800 XT cooler on it. Okay, let's go ahead and connect the 2.0, which is going to go right here. Okay, so that's that. Power supply. There we go. I've got these little swiveling spotlights for my collection. I took one and clipped it up, and it is now Molex enabled. Now I'm going to attach it to the inside of the case right back here. Actually, probably the back. Yeah, right there, where it's nice and solid. Oof. All right, so we've got pretty much everything installed now. Fans came pre-installed, which is a rarity. Usually I'm spending like an hour just routing RGB shit. Okay. Let's go ahead and install the graphics card, which I'm not even going to try and do vertically or horizontally. Here comes Choo Choo Train. This is way too big a card for this class. My God. All right. He's in. He has a PC. While I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and mount a little spotlight just to have it mounted. So I can run the... I might need to hot glue this. I ran out of those sticky pads that they came with. I don't know how well this sticky tape is going to hold up. But I will more than likely hot glue this just to reinforce it a bit. I still have a lot of cable management to do. I'm not going to put the back panel on yet. I can't make it where both cameras pick it up. Hail Mary full of fail. Woohoo! So, again, thanks for hanging out, and I will hopefully catch you guys later.